The regular meeting of the Mishawaka Common Council for Monday, August 1st will please come to order. Good evening, folks. Those of you who are with us, if you would, as we always do, we ask you to check your cell phones to make sure that they are on silent or vibrate. We thank you for that. For those of you participating remotely, good evening as well. Since we are live streaming this meeting, we are asking all members of the public who are participating to place their microphone on mute during the meeting with the exception of any public hearing. At the appropriate point in the public hearing, I will invite the public to unmute their microphone for purposes of submitting such comments as they may wish to make, one person at a time. All persons wishing to make public comments will be asked to first state their name and address for the record. After completing the comment, members of the public will once again be asked to place their microphone on mute. And we thank all of you, whether you're in person this evening or participating remotely, for your cooperation. With that, please join us in rising for the Pledge of Allegiance. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Mrs. DeMade?
Here.
Mr. Hazen?
Here.
Mr. Mamalenti?
Here.
Mr. Benicki?
Here.
Mr. Emmons?
Here.
Mr. Belovich?
Here.
Mr. Compton?
Here.
Mrs. Volker?
Here.
Mr. Hixenbaugh?
Here. Approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of July 25th, 2022. Are there any additions or corrections? Then hearing none, the minutes will stand approved as received from the clerk's office. Petitions, communications, remonstrance, and memorial.
Yes, Mr. President. We have appeal number 2022-27 to the Board of Zoning Appeals in the Mishawaka Common Council. This is a use variance to allow food truck in the parking lot of Pilo's Body Shop at 1017 Jefferson Boulevard. This is signed by Sharon Hellman. We have appeal number 2022-29 to the Board of Zoning Appeals in the Common Council. This is a use variance to allow retail sales in I-2 Light Industrial District at 702 South Logan Street. This is signed by Brian Winan. We have petition number 2022-09 to the honorable members of the Common Council and the City Plan Commission. Petition to rezone from C1 existing insurance office to R1 single-family residential, conversion back to a house at 2212 Lincoln Way East. This is signed by Chris and Susan Skidinski. Petition number 2022-10 to the Common Council and the City Plan Commission. Petition to rezone from I-1 Light Industrial to R1 single-family residential for an existing house at 805 South Logan Street. This is signed by Brandon, Dawn, and Chloe Kripe. Petition number 2022-11 to the Honorable Common Council and the Plan Commission. This is a petition for annexation and rezoning to annex and rezone to S2 PUD for commercial use, 14325 Cleveland Road. And this is signed by Gary Wright and Lane Wright and Paula Dora. There are signatures that are missing. Petition number 2022-12 to the Common Council and the City Plan Commission. This is petition to rezone from C1 to R1 to rebuild single-family residential house at 911 North Main Street. This is signed by Pierre and Jermaine Smith. Petition number 2022-13 to the honorable members of the Common Council and the City Plan Commission. This is a petition to rezone from C2 Central Commercial and C7 Auto-Oriented Restaurant to C4 Auto-Oriented Commercial for Drive and Shine Car Wash Facility at 3605 Bremen Highway. This is signed by Bonnie Sutter and John and Janie Piracini.
Thank you. This evening, we have no report of any special committee of which I am aware, nor any ordinances on first reading, no resolutions, nor any ordinances on second reading, so we'll move right into privilege of the floor. And at this time, invite members of the public to the podium to speak with respect to non-agenda items only under privilege of the floor. And we will extend that same invitation to those participating remotely. Thank you. Unfinished business.
Yes, Mr. President, we have proposed ordinance number 2022-14, an ordinance amending Chapter 137 of the Municipal Code of the City of Mishawaka, Indiana, as from time to time amended, commonly known as the zoning ordinance of 1966 of the City of Mishawaka, Indiana. This is to rezone from I-1 light industrial to R1 single-family residential, 1816 West 6th Street.
Thank you. The record will reflect the fact that we have previously entered into the committee report as well as held 2 public hearings on this proposed ordinance. So at this time, I will open the floor for questions and comments from the council. Mr. Emmons.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to invite Jason up here for a few comments that he has, that he'd like to make to this council.
Jason Van Zandy, 1802 West 6th Street. Obviously, Evan and I have talked about this. We have not reached an agreement money-wise on it. Obviously, we're 100% against losing more industrial property in this area. I would like to see it stay I-1 industrial, or I-2, and if he was going to run a business out of there or anything of that nature, I would be 100% for it. I don't agree with having a house that close to a commercial building at all. Neither does my partner Wayne, which is present tonight too. And, you know, it's not something that we really want, but if we get it forced down our throat that we have to, we would appreciate some stipulations on a privacy fence and some other things such as parking. Obviously 6th Street, the entire north side of it is no parking. It's been that way forever. We do not want cars parked there. If it's enforced upon us, it has to be enforced upon everybody. On top of that, we don't want the sidewalks blocked with cars. If we do have to go down this road, then I would appreciate it if the committee would stand behind us a little bit on a few of these terms. But obviously, yes, we are 100% against it. If there's any questions for me.
Thank you.
Mr. Emmons, any questions?
Yes, yes. I've been by that facility, your facility, and the house that's in question about being rezoned from industrial to residential
Yes, sir.
and that. It's on a very tight lot.
It is.
That house that is owned right now by the gentleman in the audience, part of the neighbor's fence is in his yard.
Yes, it is.
And also the yard is in a mess. It's loaded with concrete, asphalt, and that. And I just don't see how it could be rezoned and be an eye opener for that area. I think it would be not an asset, but a distraction to that area. Because it's on a small lot also, and it's not a very large lot, and it's very close to an industrial building, and that has some issues. So I'm not in favor of spot zoning, and this is what we're doing if we change it. Since basically from Ironwood to Logan, there are 92 I-1 buildings and 15 commercial buildings, and that only leaves about 14 houses that are zoned residential from Ironwood to Logan. So basically that tract of land on the north side of 6th Street has gone from residential way back when I lived in that area to more commercial and industrial.
I agree.
And it all started back when Furman's Meatpacking Company came in. They rezoned it because they didn't feel that the meatpacking company was suitable for a residential area. So what did they do? They moved it into another residential area and rezoned it. And that's spot zoning, and that's what's changed that whole corridor from residential to basically industrial and commercial. And since there's only a few lots that are zoned residential, I think that corridor should be maintained as R1 in commercial.
Mr. Evans, if I may, I certainly don't want to stifle your comments, but do you have any questions for this gentleman? I mean,
Yeah,
you'll have a chance to
Okay.
be able to add your comments in
Okay.
a couple seconds here.
okay, okay. What is your, say, looking forward in that, what is your plans for that building and that lot?
Obviously, if we could purchase a lot, we would definitely be looking at putting a parking lot there for our employees, that type of thing. You know, obviously it would have to have correct drainage, meet all the zoning, everything else that we would have to do to make this right. Ultimately, yes, it would benefit our company a lot, but I'm also not gonna want the committee to sit here and be the mediator between a price on a piece of property either. That's not fair to you guys, and it's not right either, so. You know, ultimately, yes, I wish we could reach an agreement to purchase it and be done with this, but we can't at this point, so
What about the house?
the house would be torn down.
Yes, what about the house to the west?
To the west, we've been in contact with the owner. We would like to purchase it when the time comes. And that way, it would be all I-1 industrial from one end of that all the way to the corner there of Alabama.
Okay, and that's in the near future that you'd want to expand if you could get both pieces of property, correct?
If I could, yes. But I don't want the committee to be a mediator on pricing, or that's not the reason we're here right now tonight, so.
Thank you, appreciate it. Thanks, Jason.
Thank you, Mr. Evans. Other questions? Mr. Mamalenti?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Thank you for coming again this evening. We put some pretty stringent stipulations with Mr. Forsland if we were to convert this to residential, and he has agreed. If we were to keep this industrial and you were to purchase it, would you be willing to stipulations as well? My fear is you buy this property and then it sits there, or perhaps this would make a great rental and keep that as a rental. So my point is, if you say you're going to tear it down, put it in a parking lot, what time frame? Say you closed on the property this week. How soon would it be
As
demolished?
soon as humanly possible. That building is it seems to be a draw for the wrong kind of crowd that keeps coming into that area. The more of that we can get rid of, the more we're gonna lose the problem of people dumping in the alley, everything else that's taken place. I mean, it's not uncommon for once or twice a week for somebody to drop a pickup truckload of stuff in the alley behind either that house or our building. The more we can open this up and make it more desirable, the less problems I believe we're gonna have with crime and that type of thing.
So just to reiterate and ask the question, if you were to purchase it, you would feel comfortable with within 30 days agreeing to perhaps 30 days to demolishing the home and starting on a parking lot?
I would like to say 60. It's gonna take a little bit to get everybody's ducks in a row in order to do what needs to be done there.
And at this point, I know you had a purchase agreement in hand, and that was torn up.
Yes,
Did it go on the market?
yes, I believe so.
How come you didn't put an offer in?
It was never brought to our attention at all. And I would hate to ask Evan, but I think it was, what was that through? When,
Gentlemen, if you could direct your comments to the council rather than having
I'm
sidebar
sorry,
conversations, we'd appreciate it.
I don't have an idea who it was through, and that's the problem, because otherwise we would have chased after it if we would have, so.
That answered my question. Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions? Mr. Belovich?
Thank you, Mr. President. The last meeting, we had a discussion about the fire marshal and the close proximity of the buildings. Did fire marshal talk with you at all?
He did, he was out.
And what were the results of those discussions?
There
that
wasn't
discussion?
there really wasn't a whole lot of results out of it. as he put it, yes, it is close, but we do have a 2-hour firewall there on our building, being it's concrete block. My personal belief is I don't know if he took into consideration of the roof that's on our building and the complete wooden structure of that house. At that point, that's all I can really say about it. There was no real great conclusion between all of us on it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Other questions? And sir, thank you again for being here. I want to make sure that I understand what you shared with us in response to Mr. Emmons' questions. I heard a mention of a condition that if this is going to be rezoned, that you'd like to see a privacy fence erected
Yes.
around the entire property, or did you have one particular segment of the property in mind?
Obviously, the east side of it, where our building is at, and I would like to see it, and myself and Evan have talked about this too.
I'm sorry, and I didn't catch that last part.
I say Evan and I have talked about this,
Okay.
and I would like it to start, at the corner of his house, come out, as far as we can, without blocking views, then go all the way to the other end, into the back where the fence is.
Okay. And then I heard your other 2 points about no parking on 6th Street and no cars parked over the sidewalk. In a couple seconds, I'm going to defer on that, and I'm going to ask Mr. Prince to address those, because I believe that both of those items would already be independently covered in our city code, at least one of them, the parking on the sidewalks. That's a code violation for anybody.
It is.
Covered. And quite frankly, that's one of the long-term complaints that we had with regard to the prior owner that you've rectified, and we appreciate that.
We've done the best we can. We're still fighting it.
Understood, understood. And then I wasn't sure if I heard you mention another condition that you were suggesting, or are the privacy fence, no parking on 6th Street, and no parking on the sidewalks, were those the 3 points that you wanted us to consider, or was there another one?
That's it.
That's it?
Yes.
All right. Thank you, sir, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments from the council? Mr. Forsland, I have a couple questions for you. Thank you for being here as well. And it sounds like despite everybody's best intentions, there wasn't an agreement that you and the neighbor were able to reach, but we appreciate both of you engaging in the effort nevertheless.
Yep.
We went through a fairly lengthy list of conditions the last time around, and you were willing to voluntarily enter into those. And then we
Yep.
just heard 3 additional conditions, 2 of which I'm going to ask Mr. Prince to address, but let's walk through them anyway. The first is with respect to a privacy fence on the east side of the property that you own. And it sounds like there may have been some conversations. What, if any, condition and commitment are you willing to agree to with regard to this property having to do with the privacy fence?
I think the privacy fence is a good idea, and I was planning on doing that already, so that both property owners can have access to both sides without interrupting any kind of privacy.
So you're willing to agree to a privacy fence on the east side of the property?
Yep.
Any comments that you want to share with regard to the concept of no parking on 6th Street in front of the home?
There seems to be parking on the south side, so would just be parking in front of other people's houses.
And that's what we're talking about, the north side, because, again, I'll ask Mr. Prince to verify this, but
Yeah.
let's assume for the purposes of this question that comprehensively, that is not allowed on the north side of 6th Street.
Yeah. We'll just park where we can.
And from prior public hearings, we know that your intent is to sell this, but to the extent that you can have control over the other buyers, any objection to the normal city code being enforced so that whomever owns this property can't park on the sidewalk?
No objection.
Okay. Anything else that you want to share with us that I haven't had a chance to allow you to share based upon my questions?
There one thing that I wanted to mention, the lot size, that's, if you look at all the residential lots in that neighborhood, not just the north side of Sixth Street, it's probably a little bigger than the average residential lot. So it's not a small lot. The backyard's pretty big, so.
All right.
The side yards are small, but there's a backyard.
And then final question from me before I open the floor up to questions from other council members. The conditions that we ran through at the last meeting, you're still willing to voluntarily enter into those, including paying for the recording of the written commitment that would memorialize your agreement with us if this property is successfully rezoned, correct?
Yep.
All right, thank you. Other questions from Mr. Forslund? Mr. Evans?
Thank you, Mr. President. On the lot size, we had a gentleman here at the last meeting that stated your fence is on his property.
Okay.
Is that true?
I don't have anything in writing that has told me it's a fact, but if it is, we can put it in the contract and it could be
So that,
rectified.
if that is true, then your lot size becomes smaller because you're already infringing on somebody else's property. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And then also on your property, entering from Sixth Street, heading north, you have a lot of asphalt and concrete that was part of a drive, and there's no garage there, so it's just broken up concrete and asphalt. Is that correct?
I believe so, yeah.
And in the backyard, not including the driveway, there is concrete back in the backyard. Is that correct?
There's a concrete slab where a garage used to be.
Okay. And then, so it's your intention then to remedy that lot by removing all that concrete and
I
asphalt?
believe we may have talked about leaving the slab for the garage if it's buildable, but if it needs to be tore out, then it needs to be tore out, and I'll do it.
Okay. Okay, say, I don't know the exact amount of money that you paid for that lot, but just assuming it's 41,000 in that area, okay?
Yeah.
What do you surmise it's gonna cost you to bring that house up to where somebody would wanna buy that and live in it,
Around 35 to 40.
over and above the,
Yeah, an additional.
okay? I have some questions on that, but I'll take your,
Okay.
Thank
Have you ever been inside the house?
no, I haven't, I've been around it, I've been walking up to it, I've walked onto the front porch, which is in dire need of repair,
Yeah.
and
Mr. Forslund, if I may, you heard a couple times me say in prior meetings that Mr. Evans was gracious to answer your question, but this is an opportunity for him to ask you questions, not vice
Yeah.
versa.
Okay, sorry.
Thank you.
so another question is, you stated at the last meeting, when I asked you some questions, you stated you're a realtor, is that correct?
Yep.
And it's my understanding that when you purchased that the property, you weren't aware that it was zoned industrial, is that correct?
I was told it was zoned industrial. I was also told that the sellers were in communication with the city, and they told them there was no issues with rezoning it, and I took their word.
I question that, but that's beyond this
I
meeting.
haven't lied one time.
No, I'm not, I'm not stating you lied, I'm just stating. that
Yeah,
I
they
find that-
they most likely lied about that, yeah.
So, also, when you finish that house and you plan on selling it, and the stipulation would be, can't be rented, does that follow over to the people that buy that house? Can they use the rental as a rental property, Mr. President?
For the record, and I'll ask Mr. Triple to correct me if I am mistaken here, but the statutory site for anybody who wants to do some quick legal research is 3674-1015, Commitments and Enforcement. And it does indicate that a commitment that's recorded is binding on a subsequent owner or any person who acquires an interest in the parcel. So once it's reduced to writing, once it's recorded, then all subsequent owners will be subject to these same conditions. Would you agree with that, Mr. Triple?
Yes, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Thank you for the interpretation. Thank you, Mr. President. I have no other questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions from Mr. Forsland? Thank you, sir. Any other questions or comments from the council? Mr. Compton?
Mr. President, I know there was some discussion about delaying this last week at the council. And one of the things that we, and I believe you, Mr. President, stated that the reason you were willing to push this out another week was what we had heard about the fire code. Is there any resolution to that?
Well, my intent was to ask Mr. Prince to address that issue for us. So,
Thank you.
Mr. Prince?
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the council. Where would you like me to begin?
Let's start with Mr. Compton's question, both at the last meeting and this evening, and then particularly at the last meeting, my friend and colleague, Mr. Emmons, read a text that referenced an opinion that had been stated by one of our local fire marshals with regard to the habitability of this home. And we had some discussion with Mr. Spear about the staff report. Would you agree with me that the staff report doesn't reference any concerns on the part of the fire marshal?
In fact, the fire marshal reviewed the request and indicated approved without comment on their reply. Following the meeting, Mr. Spear confirmed with the fire marshal that that he stood by that. And let me dig deeper in terms of, there are always concerns when you have homes in close proximity. And he did, in fact, express that these homes or the two structures are close together. But we have many of what I would call non-conforming situations where properties are close together, and that would not preempt a zoning request. Essentially, that's what they deal with all over the city, so there is no factor regarding fire suppression. It is just we would never want to build something this close now, but it's a non-conforming situation.
So just to close the loop on that point, our standard process with regard to these type of rezoning requests is to have all city departments, including the fire department, review the request, correct?
All applicable departments, correct.
All applicable departments. The fire department and the fire marshals approved this request, and we received no concern. There was a concern that was expressed, but there was not a recommendation made that
The zoning be denied.
be denied based
Correct.
upon that concern.
Correct.
All right, thank you. A couple other follow-up points. We had some discussion this evening about the request of the neighbor to deal with two additional conditions. Let's set aside the fence issue for the moment, since that appears to be agreeable to Mr. Forsland as well. There was the discussion of a commitment with regard to no parking on 6th Street, on the north side of 6th Street, more to the point. Is 6th Street, to your knowledge, already comprehensively no parking on the north side?
I know it is currently no parking in front of the business. I need to verify that that also moves further to the west, but I believe it would, and it would be enforced just like any other ordinance in the city.
Okay. And then with regard to parking on the sidewalk, my foggy recollection, as I referenced earlier, was that we already have a city ordinance that prohibits any of us from parking over on the sidewalk and prohibiting other individuals from being able to traverse the sidewalk. Is that accurate?
That is accurate.
So with regard to the parking on the sidewalk, no need to, would you agree with me, there's no need to build that commitment in, since that's already covered by a city ordinance that applies to all of us, including this
The
situation?
only thing that I haven't investigated is if there's room to park and not block the sidewalk there. So if there's not room to park, it may be worth just referencing it in the commitments for the understanding of the property owner, or anybody buying the property. As you can understand, being an attorney yourself, that if somebody does a title search and finds that property or finds that commitment, they may be better aware of it than trying to scour through pages of city ordinances to find it. And if it is going to be an issue, we'd much rather have it, that understanding of anybody going into the property, than to bring it up as this conflict exists.
That makes sense. I appreciate that clarification. And then similarly, since subject to your additional research with regard to no parking on the north side of Sixth Street, if it is already no parking, then I suppose that it's, again, additional notice to whomever would purchase it, that there's a commitment that it,
I'm less concerned about the parking because that applies to everyone, whereas if there's not enough room to park on the property and we have an inherent conflict, that might be more difficult.
okay, so 6 on the one hand, half a dozen on the other with regard to no parking on the north side of Sixth Street.
Correct.
All right. Thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Prince? Mr. Benicki?
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Prince, if we vote no for the rezoning today, they can bring that back, but there's a waiting period of how long?
I believe it's 6 months before they're able to bring it back.
So they could reapply
And
in
it-
6 months.
And I would refer to your counsel, but I believe that is by rule, that it's 6 months. And I'm not sure if it requires it to be substantially different, or if it can just automatically be brought back in 6 months.
Okay. 6 months, thank you. And then, so let's say we approve this today, and then 2 months from now, they want to go back to I-1. Could they bring that back? There's not a 6-month waiting period for that portion.
No, you can
You
apply.
go back and
You
forth.
can apply immediately, correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Other questions for Mr. Prince? Thank you, sir.
May I add something, Mr. President?
Would it matter if I said no, Mr. Prince?
Yes, it
No,
would.
no, please, go ahead.
My only question is on the fence, because I know concerns have been expressed by the owner of the industrial property regarding access, and knowing the very small distance between it, that it might be worthwhile to look at some kind of common access easement between these two properties to allow both property owners to access it, and to move the privacy fence to be in line with the house, moving back to the alley, and have some kind of agreement to cut it off. I don't want to complicate things, but this is a difficult situation, and just by following the property line, I'm not sure there's going to be room for either of them. I'm not sure where that property line is located relative to the house and relative to the commercial structure, and if you can imagine putting a fence right down the middle of it, might not make any sense whatsoever. So I don't know if there's something in the language that can be drafted that perhaps they could, I mean, I hate to do this because they haven't been able to come to an agreement in the past, but perhaps just wording it that it shall follow the property line, or unless a mutual agreement is struck between the property owners, whatever legal language council would deem appropriate. And that would give them the opportunity to look at it potentially, and where it could be mutually beneficial to both parties.
Subject to how others feel, I wouldn't have any objection to that condition with regard to the privacy fence being fleshed out that way, as long as Mr. Triple has enough that he can build out the condition, and we're going to be drafting this. If this is approved, the document will be drafted after the fact anyway, so we'd have a chance to clean up the language. And in a minute, I'll ask Mr. Forsland to come up to have him reiterate for the record that he would agree to that type of condition. Since the adjoining landowner is not a party to the commitment, it's a little bit more nebulous to me how we could elicit that and build that into the document, but I will rely on Mr. Triple's legal acumen with regard to that point.
So I think the default would be only to follow the property line and leave it at that. The other thing I want to note, just for everybody's education here, is that any condition that is, or voluntary commitment, I shouldn't say condition, that is made on the property, it still has to follow the city code. So that privacy fence cannot protrude in front of the existing house. So the current industrial building sits out in front of the house, and that privacy fence is not going to be able to follow that line. It's going to have to be set back in line with the front of the house, should that proceed. I just wanted to bring that up for the record, so everybody understands where that privacy fence may be located.
Very good clarification, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions for Mr. Prince? Mrs.?
I don't have a question. I had a comment, and maybe it's not a comment, or maybe a clarification. My understanding was that the privacy fence that Mr. Forsland was talking about putting in was actually going to be, you were talking about putting it in a little bit from the back of the house and then going back to the property line along the railroad track, correct? So he was talking about actually even moving it in a little bit from the corner of the house so that there was plenty of access between the two buildings.
Mrs. Volker, if we may, why don't we have Mr. Prince take his seat, and if we want to
Sorry.
ask a couple of questions of Mr. Forsland, we can have him come up and talk about the fence in light of this discussion.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Prince.
Thank you.
Mr. Forsland? Now, Mrs. Volker.
Did I remember correctly?
Yeah, I mentioned that last meeting. I'm open to talk about what everyone thinks is best. So,
So even from the corner of the back of the house, and then back to the property line along
Yeah.
the railroad track, across, and then back down along the driveway to wherever?
the only thing that would need to be put at the front of the property is just a gate, so people can't just walk through. So the fence would end at the back of the house, and then we just build a gate on both ends.
So that's something that you and the other property owner would have to work out?
Yeah.
Like a lock gate that you both would have access to?
Yeah.
But it would not be available to, from the,
Like,
from the street
Yeah.
to just any person walking back?
yeah.
Okay. So that begs the question, thank you, Mr. Forsland. So I need to ask a question of the other property owner, and maybe, I'm sorry, this is the way it works. Would you mind?
Let's see then if there are any other questions for Mr. Forsland while he's up there. In particular, I'm going to ask Mr. Triple if he has any clarifying questions that he wants to pose to Mr. Forsland for purposes of drafting the written commitments, if one such document is necessary. All right. Thank you, Mr. Forsland. Now, Mrs. Volker, the floor is still yours.
Would you mind coming up? So when we're talking, thank you so much. When you're talking about protecting both of your properties, and if Mr. Forsland's going to put a fence, so here's the house, so the fence is going from the corner of the house back to the property line, and there's walkway between the two buildings. Would you be in agreement to put a locked gate between the two buildings that you and Mr. Forsland had a key to?
Yes, as long as we have an easement there, that's large enough to at least get in there to do anything we would need to do on the side of our building.
Okay.
Obviously, there's also, which is partially on his property, a very large tree stump that's going to be in the way of this. That's going to have to be dealt with.
Mm-hmm. I can't answer that. That would be Mr. Forsland would have to come back up and answer that one. You guys are gonna have to work that out.
We don't need to do that.
Okay,
Good.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
You are welcome, Mrs. Volker. Thank you for your questions. Any other questions or comments from the council? Mr. Emmons?
I just question, just for clarification. If I just want to state my opinion, would this be the proper time to do it?
Absolutely.
Okay, then I'd like to do that. Thank you, Mr. President. Since this has come through the Planning Commission and also to the council for the third time, and I will restate that I am totally against spot zoning. That corridor has been residential way back in the 50s, and it slowly became commercial and industrial. Now, it's over 90% commercial and industrial. And there's no way that that piece of property from Ironwood to Logan that butts up against the railroad track is ever going to be residential. And changing one house back to residential, being next door to a industrial building and next to another building that is also industrial, there's no way that people want to buy a house in that area, knowing what it's next to. And I know you're a realtor, and I'm not going to belittle you, but I can't see how you're going to take that piece of property, the shape it's in, and do all the work that's necessary to bring that up to where somebody would want to buy that house. The shape it's in, the property that's it, the shape that's in, the basement what it's in, the front porch. I don't see how you can do all that for $35,000. So, in my mind, you're throwing your money away. And it should be zoned industrial and maintained industrial, and at the time it's bought, torn down, and made into a parking lot that is conducive to the building and to the area. There's no way that that house should be rezoned residential. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Emmons. Other questions or comments from the council? Mr. Benicki?
Thank you, Mr. President. This is kind of a toughie here that, you know, it's he said, she said kind of deal. At the end of the day, this has been a bad corridor, and we've had problems from that block for quite some time. Very vocal neighbors across the street that we've gotten very nice notes from, almost like love letters at times. But I think part of the problem being that when the house was purchased, it was I-1 light industrial. And, you know, Mr. Forsland was unfortunately told a little fib that, you know, the blessing of the city would be to change it. And I just don't see that as being factual. And, you know, it's just so close to that building. Running a business myself, I know that, you know, there's noise and all kinds of other things that can affect a next-door neighbor. And the last thing you want to do is, you know, have your neighbors keep calling, you know, code enforcement or whoever, well, they're making a lot of noise, you know, they got to turn on the radio, whatever it is. I just like Mr. Emmons, I just don't think that this is the proper time to change this back to R1, and I'll be voting against it today.
Thank you. Other comments from the council? Mr. Belovitch?
Yes. Mr. Forsland, you know, from my perspective, it doesn't matter how much money you want to invest in this property, that's your business. But what I have an issue with is taking something that is light industrial now, and if the situation, we would not allow, if there was no home that was there now, we wouldn't allow a home to be built there. And to my way of thinking, I think if we go ahead and approve this, or approve what you want to do, I think as a council, we're making a mistake, and I'm voting against it.
Thank you. Other comments? Mr. Mamalante?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm still undecided at this point, so I'm just kind of verbalizing some of the notes that I've taken throughout this lengthy process. I guess first off, I drive by. To me, it looks like a house. It looks like a residential house. I think Mr. Forsland has agreed to many costly conditions and agreements, and I trust his expertise as his main occupation as a real estate agent. So he must know he's a pretty good agent if he can sell this house with these conditions. I hear personally quite often we have too many rentals in the city of Mishawaka. I think with these conditions, that it will not be a rental for a very, very long time. I think with his reputation as a real estate agent, I think he would put a lot of hard work and money into this property with his name attached to it. So I don't know at this point. I just wanted to get those thoughts out. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you, sir. Other comments from the council? Well, I want to thank everyone who has appeared before us and spent some time with us now on 3 occasions for the information that they've shared. Whatever the vote may be, hopefully this validates in the mind of anybody who has been a participant in this process that we take these issues seriously. We want what's best for the neighborhood. But our charge under the law, in my opinion, is not just to do what's best, what we would prefer, whether we would live there or not. It's about following the law. And I'm compelled, I'm on the horns of a dilemma like Mr. Mamalante. This would never be built in this era. It would never look like this in this era, but it's here nevertheless. And on balance, I'm compelled by the findings in the staff report that rezoning this property to R1 would be compatible in the area, would be compatible to the area, that it's the most desirable use for this property, that being a single-family home, that it will have the effect of conserving property values in the immediate and surrounding residential neighborhood, and that it's otherwise compatible with its historical use. So there are reasonable arguments to be made on both sides of this equation, in my opinion. But the final compelling factor to me is that, zoning aside, there are 16 residential uses up and down this section of 6th Street. So with respect to the spot zoning, it's always been my experience that we're looking to invite people to interject less intensive uses into neighborhood settings such as this, rather than more intensive, which is what a industrial zoning would be. So, again, I appreciate all the comments and the time that everybody has put into this. And were it not for the commitments that Mr. Forsland is willing to make, I wouldn't vote in favor of it. But we don't have the ability to be able to sit on the fence on every question, and having the obligation to come down on one side or the other. I will be voting in favor of this evening. Any other comments from the council? Hearing none, then I call for the question.
Question.
Madam Clerk, would you please poll the council?
Mrs. DeMade?
Yes.
Mr. Hazen?
Yes.
Mr. Mamalenti?
Yes.
Mr. Benicki?
No.
Mr. Emmons?
No.
Mr. Belovich?
No.
Mr. Compton?
Yes.
Mrs. Volker?
Yes.
Mr. Hicksonbaugh?
Yes.
The vote is 5-4, with yes being the prevailing vote. It passes.
Madam Clerk, far be it for me to question anybody's math skills. But by my count, it was 6-3 with yes in the.
I'm sorry, because I must have missed somebody, because I've got 5 yeses and I've got 4 noes. So you want to,
Yeah, just 3 noes.
Mr. Belovich, Mr. Emmons, Mr. Benicki.
Mr. Belovich.
can I, I'm just going to call the roll again.
Let's recall the roll, Madam Clerk.
Mrs. DeMade?
Yes.
Mr. Hazen?
Yes.
Mr. Mamalenti?
Yes.
Mr. Benicki?
Still no.
Mr. Emmons?
No.
I had Mr. Emmons as a yes. This is the first time in almost 31 years that I've ever done this. So we'll put that on the record. Mr. Belovich?
No.
Mr. Compton?
Yes.
Mrs. Volker?
Yes.
Mr. Hicksonbaugh?
Yes.
6-3. It's still in the favor of the petitioner.
Thank you. And with that, we'll move into new business. Is there any new business to come before the council? Oh, Mrs. DeMade, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to remind everyone that the West End Neighborhood Watch is inviting all of you to join us tomorrow evening at Merrifield Park for the National Night Out from 5 p.m. to 8. Representatives from both Mishawaka PD and the fire department will be there with their trucks and all good stuff. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any other new business to come before the council? Mr. Mamalenti.
Mr. President, just another reminder that the Twin Branch Neighborhood Watch meeting will be hosting a national night out tomorrow as well, starting about 5:30 at Twin Branch Park in the pavilion. I'm told they, Mr. and Mrs. Mullins, the organizers, have received a plethora of donations that they will be raffling off for any kids and/or adults. Plenty of food, so feel free to stop by and enjoy.
Thank you. No other new business. Mr. Emmons.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a reminder that the West End neighborhood meeting will be on the 18th of this month, and Mayor Wood will be leading our meeting through the new utility building, police station, and City Hall, starting at 7 o'clock. So everybody is welcome, and that, I don't know exactly where we're going to enter yet, but that'll be put out for everybody to realize where you're going to go in And as usual, donuts will be ready from the West End Bakery. So it should be a pretty good turnout. I know everybody's anxious to see what it looks like. I know they're starting to give tours. I don't know exactly how much is completed, but they say a lot of it is really ready to go. So should be very interesting. So if you know of anybody that has interest in touring that facility, the 18th would be a good time to do that. So again, that's on the 18th at 7 o'clock downtown here. So thank you.
Thank you. Other new business? If there is no other new business to come before the council, a motion to adjourn would be in order.
So moved.
We are adjourned.